Okay, we can have a really interesting discussion on a Torah discussion on the phenomenon of psychedelics. Now, all I know about it is that veterans that are having issues and problems in their life, after going through a medical treatment, like in a different country, in like a hospital or medical center, under medical supervision and medical care, they've seen great changes in their lives, improvements in their lives, after doing these psychedelics. And I think there's a Torah explanation on what's going on over here.
Let's hear it.
Okay, so
I know nothing unless you're handing out samples right now for us to experiment.
no. It's actually the practical aspect is what we spoke about in the lesson 4 is a practical thing, what's going on. So I listened to an audiobook to saying that a person who's studies military statistics, that 98% of soldiers get psychological damage if they are in ongoing combat. Now, what that means is that there used to be combat and everybody used to stop combat at night, and generally the soldiers got a chance to go to sleep. But lately, the combat goes through the day and night. They have night vision, and they're able to see heat at nighttime. So combat goes through day and night, and the soldiers don't get a chance to sleep. And 98% get psychological damage, and they call it whatever they want to call it. But what I think is going on is, let's understand what dreams are. So every time a person wakes up in the morning, it's sort of like being born again, and going to sleep is like a little bit like passing away, a 60th of passing away. And when a baby is born, so it's like it's really naturally in the natural state of a human being is to smile and to be happy, unless they're uncomfortable. So the default setting that God created a human is to be happy. You know, like in the Garden of Eden, the souls are happy. That's the default setting. A person is happy. Now, a person sort of experiences that every day. So what happens is that the soul goes back to heaven every day and gets renewed. And the next morning, when it's renewed, a person feels like they're born again. And of course, this is very important when it comes to self-mastery, because it's self-mastery is, if the soul has a chance to renew itself, then a person has better self-mastery. If a person's not sleeping, imagine they're really at night, so they have a much shorter fuse, and they may behave contrary to what the Torah expects, get angry, have a short temper, don't have patience, right? These are not good midas, not good emotions to have, but they're happening because the person's tired. But in order for the soul to get renewed, it needs to remove all the thoughts of the day. So what happens is the angel shakes up the soul, and all the thoughts of the day fall off in disarray, and that becomes dreams. So dreams, a person thinks about only things that they thought about during the day. However, they're disorganized, and that's why disorganized and chaotic. So you will only see things that you thought about during the day, but it will be in a different order. So it will be chaotic. And what actually is happening is like a washing machine, and all those thoughts are being washed off the soul when a person's dreaming, and that enables the soul to connect back to heaven, to its source, and get renewed. So a person experiences being reborn in the morning. Now, just like you have a computer, sometimes these Microsoft computers, they want an update, right? And sometimes you download a program and it doesn't really work till you turn off the computer and turn it back on. So sometimes you may be working on your betterment and working on being a better person, and a person makes commitments to be a better person. But when it comes late at night, when they're tired, they're not able to keep the commitment. So really what a person needs to do is just like turn off the computer, turn it back on to reset, allow that to be incorporated into the person by going to sleep properly and being renewed in the morning. And then a person will suddenly find, wow, I can do what I couldn't do last night, and I can do what I committed to do, when a person's soul is at its fullest strength, when it's renewed. So, but what's happening, and this is like by, for example, Navy SEALs, that the whole training, they're trained to be able to, the whole training is under sleep deprivation. And they basically, they don't really have time to go through that process of dreaming and renewing, and they're off to the next mission the next day. And this accumulates. So imagine there's a lot of like thoughts that are supposed to be every night shaken off the soul, but they're all connected to the soul of the person. So they're basically like a person that has sleep deprivation, but they're carrying all this extra baggage because it hasn't been removed from their soul. And that's what we call like this is what they call post-traumatic stress disorder. What's really happening is that all this stress, all this time is not being removed because they're not sleeping. And a lot of them, like in their interviews, they say they do drinking, and now drinking to be able to go to sleep. But the problem is a person doesn't, the hormones of the proper hormones of sleep don't really work if a person drinks themselves to sleep. So they're not really getting that renewal. They actually physically slept, but the body didn't properly hormonally renew itself through that time when they were sort of like officially sleeping. And so that works against them. And then we have all these interviews of the people that they took these psychedelics in now. So you can imagine that what I understood the fellow was explaining is that it disrupts the connection between the front of the brain and the back of the brain. Now, we've spoken before about what that is, that the das, the ability to focus on what we need to focus on, is in the back of the brain, and it's on the front of the brain. And what happens is the psychedelic turns off that connection. So it basically turns off their das, forcing them into a dreamlike state. Now, this is not the opposite. This is actually opposite of what happened in the Beis HaMikdash, because in the Beis HaMikdash, like the Keteras, actually the effect on a person would be to have more das, to be more aware of the current present situation, the current reality. But what they're doing in the psychedelic experience is they're turning off their das. In other words, the connection between the front of the back of the brain, and the dream state is being, extreme dream state is coming onto the person, and it's going to be for a number of hours, and it will be rough. It will be like nightmares, because the nightmares are basically the soul has to be like cleaned off from these from all these thoughts which stop their soul from renewing properly. And they need when a person goes to sleep, it's 1/60th of passing away. But you can imagine a psychedelic experience, they need doctors to have the person connected to a machine to make sure that their equipment, heart and everything is working. So you need a doctor overseeing, medical professionals overseeing their physical body, that it doesn't go overboard with this dream state. And basically they're so also have to be overseen, because they're also not completely sleeping physically, so they can misinterpret the world for a dream state. That's what it's like, a little bit of a induced psychosis, this dream state. So somebody needs to be overseeing the person. But what actually is happening, the person's getting cleaned over this time. All these experiences are being cleaned from the person. And what I saw in the interview, this person that was always very irritable, always very angry, could never be around, they can't focus on people, they can't focus, they can't connect with their kids, they can't connect with their wife, they can't be present. Well, imagine if you didn't sleep for a few months, it would be really hard, right? So suddenly they're like a reborn human being, they're back to their old self. And they're able to smile, and they're able to notice their surroundings. They're able to connect to people. They're able to do all these things which a soul is supposed to be able to do. And they're able to have better self-control. And it was very interesting. There were two types. One was a very serious type, which actually removes addictions from people. Like one fellow was saying that he doesn't drink, doesn't take any drugs, doesn't take any alcohol, doesn't even have coffee anymore. After he did that, the one of them, they call it the father. It's like I don't know. It sounds like in Chassidus, like the Abba and the Ema. There's another one, the famous. Well, the other one is more soft. It's more like the Aim. That's what they call it. I don't know if it's connected to these aspects, Baruchnius of Abba and Ema inside a person, but definitely the results are, it's as if a person got renewed to, what their father and mother would be proud of them to be. So it's like a forced, what I understand, it's a forced dream state. So when nothing else worked, this worked. And a person, what was interesting, that one of these soldiers was even diagnosed with bipolar, which I understand it's an extreme REM state, dream state, that a person's experiencing while being alive in this world, and therefore the person's unstable because they're a walking dreaming person in extreme dream state. Well, by doing that psychedelic experience, that actually forces it onto the person to get actually cleaned out and go over that. And he is not on any drugs anymore, which I found fascinating. He's not on any drugs. So it could be that these diseases is a protection mechanism of the body trying to clean itself from certain thoughts, and a person's brain goes into this dream state, which is a bipolar or a type of psychosis, and it's not able to clean itself, but it's really trying to start a cleansing process, and it just needs to be allowed to go through that process, and then a person can renew. It's like a miracle, like a new baby. And I think every night that we go to sleep tired and we wake up in the morning, it's a miracle. It's a miracle that we can be renewed. It's Tchias HaMesim. We have the 13th principle of faith, is that all people, there'll be a resurrection of the dead. All humans, humans are committed to keep the laws, the seven laws of Noah, because God said so. All the humans will be resurrected, and what happens every day is a miracle. And these soldiers that are suffering from what they call PSD, and they go and do this psychedelic experience, they're just like sort of catching up on months or years of lack of sleep, of cleansing, which should be happening, and they're doing it in a really short time. But it also teaches us the importance of sleeping properly every night. If a person's not sleeping properly, it's going to be there's going to be challenges in self-mastery. And if a person improves their physical health and their sleep at nighttime, then working on the midas, working on the emotions will be easier because the soul will be cleansed and empowered to do so. So yeah, so that's my comments on this interesting topic. It's just a discussion. It's my understanding from just listening to an interview of what could be happening on a physical and spiritual level, and why it works in that environment where these people are cared for, why it becomes such an amazing cure, but really it's something really simple that's happening. Yeah, that's my comment, Rabbi. What do you, anybody have anything interesting to say on that?
Well, some questions over here. Did you answer the question about the Beis HaMikdash?
Yeah, so I think in the Beis HaMikdash exactly the opposite of a psychotic experience, a psychedelic experience. The incense actually strengthens the das, whereas by the psychedelics it turns off the das and allows it turns on the washing machine, allows the brain to clean. So a person's focus and attention on the world is much stronger in the Beis HaMikdash. The opposite experience.